In today's MLB postseason recap, Fernando Tatis Jr. Nando hit a baseball that still hasn't landed yet, and we saw one of the better postseason starts of all time. Corey Kluber played a big part in that start. We'll talk about how in just a second. Jackson Chourio, the 20-year-old phenom, was the savior for the Brew Crew, then botched a play like 5 seconds later that allowed a huge Mets rally, and that was after Jesse Winker and Willy Adames were jawing at each other. These guys were teammates last year. Maybe they just don't like each other. And we also have to break down Justin Verlander being left off the Astros roster, the Arizona Diamondbacks owner calling out Jordan Montgomery, and the Giants have a brand new GM who looks a little bit familiar. So we'll talk about all of that more in today's postseason recap. And just a reminder, we post these almost every single day, so if you don't want to miss out on any of the action, hit that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to use my code Fuzzy on SeatGeek to save 20 bucks off all of your tickets, and it is Boosttober on Underdog Fantasy. If you download using my code Fuzzy, you get a bunch of free promos, you get bonuses. You guys have been crushing it in the NFL season already. Postseason baseball's back. It's a lot of fun. You know what else is a lot of fun? AJ Hinch and the Gritty Tigs, they're in Houston, so we know that AJ Hinch, he was the manager of the Astros at the time where the whole 2017 banging on trash cans things happened. So he's out of Houston. He's with the Tigers, and they're trying to prove that they can compete with anyone, even the October juggernaut Houston Astros. It all started with a Winsel Perez base knock, then Parker Meadows advanced into third base. Jake Rogers, the former Astros prospect, if you guys don't remember, he came to Detroit in that Justin Verlander trade way back in 2017, so kind of worlds colliding. Trey Sweeney with the sweet swing. That is a perfect approach, lefty-lefty against a tough southpaw in Framber Valdez. Matt Vierling, another stinger. It's 3-0 Tigers, which cannot happen if you are facing Tarek Skubal. Look at this dude. Jeremy Pena, he's down on a change piece. Victor Caratini, same thing. He could not hold up. Tarek is yelling. He's saying, let's go. He wasn't done. 6 shutout. He is fired up. There are only 2 men I would follow into Mordor, Aragon and Tarek Skubal. Now, the Astros did fight back. They made Tigers fans probably lose a few years off their life as Yiner, he jolted an RBI through the infield, but Bo Brisky, he came in for Jason Foley. The bases were loaded for Jason Hayward. A line drive to Torkelson. It's caught. That was absolute chaos, and I loved every second of it. So the Astros lose game number 1 of the wild card series, and now we have to talk about the fact that 41-year-old Justin Verlander was completely left off the wild card roster, and it makes sense because he put up a 5.5 ERA over 17 starts this year. He also has a bad neck. Now, this would have been his first ever wild card series. He's only ever played in divisional, championship, or the World Series, and he's actually been pretty good in the early rounds. It's just the World Series is where he's developed a reputation to not be clutch because he has an almost 6 ERA and about 50 innings in the Fall Classic. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. Is this the end of the road for JV? If the Astros advance, do you think that they'll put him in the bullpen as a long reliever so he can dial it up for an inning or two, maybe get back up to 98, 99 miles an hour like vintage JV? Let me know. Is this where it ends, or could he make a small little comeback as a bullpen guy? Royals fans got to be so thankful for that Aroldis Chapman trade last year. Like, yeah, Aroldis went on to win a World Series with the Rangers, but they got the second coming of Cole Hamels out of that trade. Cole Reagans made James McCann lose his bat. That's the 3rd strikeout already. I'll give some credit to Corbin Burns. He was impressive as well. That is a huge double play in the 5th inning. Mountcastle, he snagged it, then tagged the bag. Pham, he's down on the slider. So both guys, they're trying for 5 shutout. Reagans, he's back out there. He got McCann again. It didn't matter if it was the curveball down or the fastball up. Well, now he's going with the slider. Gunner, he could not hold up on that pitch. I love October baseball. They're all fired up, and it's just the first round. Michael, he took a rare walk. This is Michael Garcia, by the way. He stole second base, which is not so rare. He had 37 of those. I think he was the most efficient base stealer in baseball this year. That marked the first time Casey got a runner to second base all game thus far. Massey, he did his job, and Bobby Witt Jr., that is classic Royals baseball. Everyone did their jobs. That is 1-0 Royals, as Reagan's changeup was unhittable. It had both vertical and horizontal movement. I wish that I could be in the box, not to try and hit it. I just want to see why major league hitters would even attempt to swing at that, because it has to look hittable until it's not. Unfortunately, he and Skubal had to leave after 6 innings. Both guys left with cramps. And just a reminder heading into the rest of the playoffs, just listen to the classic clip from Muninori Kawasaki. Eat your bananas.
Bananas. Monkeys never claps because a monkey every day bananas. 2.
So how many did you have today?
3.
So both Skubal and Reagans go 8 shutout. Reagans had 8 strikeouts on the day. Lucas Ursay, he got the final out in the 8th, so he's going to try and get 4 outs. As Corbin, he's back out for the 9th. He got pulled, unfortunately, after a Michael Garcia single, but Corbin went 8 innings, only 1 earned run. That could be his final start ever as an Oriole because the Orioles don't spend a lot of money, and Corbin is going to require a lot of money to re-sign. Sir Anthony Dominguez with the nasty slider to end the top of the 9th, so it's up to the Orioles. Ursay, he's trying for that 4-out save like I mentioned, and Heston, that's a 91 changeup, which probably looked like the sinker because Lucas throws a 98, 99, sometimes 100-mile-per-hour sinker that moves away. Then you throw that changeup away. That is tunneling to perfection. So the AL Central is undefeated to start the 2024 playoffs. The Royals beat Baltimore. And by the way, Will Smith, no, not that one. No, not that one either. This Will Smith, he has won 3 World Series in a row with the Braves, the Astros, and the Rangers. Now he's on the Royals. What if he makes it 4 in a row? The roof is closed in Milwaukee, and the Brew Crew got to Sevy instantly. Okay, we'll talk about Sevy in just a second because he might have bounced back. William Contreras, he looks locked in for October. Reese got hit by a pitch, so he's not even doing anything, but he's still driving in runs in the postseason. So it's 2-0 Brew. Never mind. Jesse Winker, Brewers fans hate this guy. Last year with the Brewers, he hit 199 and he somehow made the playoff roster over Garrett Mitchell. So he laces a 2-run triple to right field. He and Adames were jawing, and there was a small rumor that Winker said something to Adames as he was rounding second. They've already debunked that. Wink was at third base saying, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" Adames said that he'll tell him in the parking lot after the game. I'm not joking. That's exactly what was said. So Starling, that is a long RBI flyout. A sac fly gives the Mets the lead. Not for long. The 20-year-old phenom, Jackson Chourio with an RBI up the middle. Milwaukee, they're back up 1 on a Contreras chopper, his second RBI of the day. The thing is, though, Freddie, he's out. Talking about Freddie Peralta. Yoel Payamps, he's in. Starling wants to go out, but Jackson brought it back in. That would have been a double at the least. Maybe a home run. I don't think so. But then he blew it. Left field reads are not easy. I promise you guys that, but you have to make that grab. Jose Iglesias, he stepped up with 2 on. Reese, he saved the game. No, he didn't because Yoel did not cover the bag in time. Then he forgot about Tyrone Taylor, who sprinted around to tie it. Wow. Jose Iglesias, he's rightfully pumped up. Aaron Ashby, Adames couldn't make that play happen. I mean, that would have been a 10 out of 10 web gem. Vientos, 2 are going to score on this perfect base hit to right field. They intentionally walked Pete Alonso, and JD Martinez said, "I take that personally." It's a 5 spot after he drove in 2, also going the other way. Sevy, he settled in. He retired 8 in a row to end his start. Ryan Stanek, I completely forgot that he is with the Mets now, but he got the final 3 outs in a non-save opportunity. So the Mets, they beat the Brewers in Game 1. Petco Park was rocking, and then Michael King kind of got rocked in the first. He had an interesting first frame. Runners on the corners with power threat. Jorge Soler at the dish, but he's got a 96 sinker in his back pocket, and it reminds me so much of Corey Kluber. Klubot stuff. We'll talk about Corey in just a second. The Braves, they went with AJ Smith-Shawver because Chris Sale was not available. He had back spasms. Luis Ariz, he did his normal Luis Ariz things. He goes to right field. That's left field, dummy. For some reason, I wrote right field on my script. That was not right field, but that was 2 strikes. Nando, he didn't even let it get to 1 strike. The no doubt 2-run moonshot into the second deck. His back foot wasn't even planted. He straight up looked like prime Frank Thomas. Now, obviously, he's not as big as Frank Thomas, but do you guys remember how Frank Thomas would swing through the zone? His back foot would be in the air and kind of like across his body. Pujols did that a lot as well, but that is the 8th home run in Fernando Tatis Jr.'s last 16 starts. That's all Michael King needed. That sinker should be investigated by a priest. It is straight sorcery. 8 strikeouts through 5 innings. Albies was 3 of those 8. To the 6th inning we go. Now he's breaking out the slurve. Does that slurve look familiar? It should, because he was taught how to throw that from none other than Klubot himself when they were teammates in New York. We'll talk about Klubot more in a second. The sinker gets Ramon. That's 11 strikeouts. Make it 12 strikeouts. How can a pitch have that much movement? Michael King is the first pitcher ever to have 12 strikeouts, 0 walks, and 0 runs in his first ever playoff start. He came on over in that Juan Soto trade, and so did this guy. Kyle Higashioka, he's played the Braves a couple times. He's only had 3 at-bats, though. He's now 3 for 3 with 3 home runs. Manny Machado, he then ends the game with a long throw. This was easily one of my favorite starts to the playoffs I can remember in quite some time. Now, Kluber, he taught Michael King that slurve when they were in New York, so we got to see Kluber if he had never been traded. If you guys don't remember, Kluber was on the Padres to begin his career. He was then traded from San Diego to Cleveland in a 3-team trade that sent Ryan Ludwig to the Padres where he kind of fizzled out. But if you're a Padres fan, you better be thanking Corey Kluber, and imagine if he never left. You're literally seeing what he could have been because he's Michael King before Michael King. So those were all of the games from yesterday, but a reminder, we're going to talk about Jordan Montgomery getting called out by the Diamondbacks owner. I don't know if he called him out per se, but he did. I'll talk about my opinions after you guys watch the clip.
Jordan Montgomery was $25 million, and he pitched to an ERA well over 6 and got demoted to the bullpen. How disappointed are you in that signing?
Let me say it the best way I can say it. If anyone wants to blame anyone for Jordan Montgomery being a Diamondback, you're talking to the guy that should be blamed. I brought it to their attention. I pushed for it. They agreed to it. It wasn't in our game plan. You know, when he was signed right at the end of spring training. And looking back, in hindsight, a horrible decision to have invested that money in a guy that performed as poorly as he did. It's our biggest mistake this season from a talent standpoint.
Brother in Christ, I respect the honesty, but that is a behind closed doors conversation. And I say that because if Jordan Montgomery was not coming back to Arizona in 2025, fine, admit you're wrong and move on. But the thing is, Jordan Montgomery was so bad, he'd be dumb to test free agency all over again. He had an almost 7 ERA. Because he has a player option of $20+ million, he's going to opt back in. He will be a Diamondback, so they either got to trade him, or maybe it's just one of those learning moments as an owner where you just, a lot of this, you do this, stop talking. But to be fair, I have seen a large portion of social media coming to his defense saying, hey, it's kind of nice that we have an owner owning up to his mistakes, because it wasn't like this was a GM coming to the owner saying, we got to go get J-Mo. The owner of the Diamondbacks went out and said that, yeah, he's not part of our plans, but we got to go get this guy. And he took ownership of it. So a lot of people are saying, I tip my cap to that. I respect the honesty, but some people are saying, just don't do that on a radio show. And last but not least, Buster Posey has just been named the brand new GM of the Giants. And that's in large part because Buster a few weeks ago kind of just said, F it. He believed that the current GM of the Giants at the time, I think his name is, so I don't botch this, Farhan Zaidi, I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. He was taking his sweet time getting an extension deal with Matt Chapman. Matt Chapman was getting frustrated. Buster said, F it. And he actually is a big reason why they got that extension done. And the Giants ownership said, why are we paying this guy to be a GM when this guy is better at it? And he's also a face of the franchise and one of the legends of baseball. Let's give him the opportunity to speak to players, because let's be fair, when you have a baseball player GM, whether it's Chris Young of the Rangers or another former player in that seat, they're more relatable. They can speak to their former glory days in that stadium or playing as an opposing player in that stadium if they go to a different team. Now, I will give credit to Zaidi. He somehow won 107 games back in 2021, but ask any Giants fan, they knew that was not sustainable, whether it was because of Gabe Kapler, the manager, or the fact that Farhan couldn't get Aaron Judge to sign, and then Carlos Correa, that debacle happened. He did have a few nice little pieces here and there. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up real quick. Thank you guys so much for watching, but we're not done yet. A lot of you have been wanting me to end every recap with Guess the Batting Stance, so I guess for the remainder of the postseason, we're going to end these recaps with Guess the Pitcher as well as Guess the Batter. I'm not going to lie, I'm having trouble with the batter, so we're going to... Is that Trey Turner? I feel it. No, it kind of looks like Trey Turner or Tim Anderson, but I don't think it's either of those guys. Let's look at the pitcher and see if we can have better luck with that. So we have this guy. Oh, I think I know who that is. I'm pretty sure, and this is just because of MLB The Show. I used to use this guy's card all the time. I'm almost positive this is Casey Mize. If I get, okay, so now I got some confidence. I got some momentum. This is Casey Mize. I'm actually really proud. Also, Chuck Nasty. Why would they do that to my guy? He's not even in the game anymore. He's retired. All right, so who is this guy? I'm going with two guesses. It's either going to be Tim Anderson. No, wait, is that Tim Anderson? I think that's Tim Anderson. Tim Anderson. I thought it was maybe. So so it's someone in the NL East, a shortstop. So that means, wait, NL East shortstop. It's not Trey Turner because Turner has the more pronounced leg kick. NL East, and that's not Francisco Lindor. It's not Orlando. Is that no? Orlando Arcia has that big kick as well. The only other shortstop that I can think of filled in for Trey. Dude, if they actually expect people to know Edmundo Sosa, I've said this a few times throughout the year. Some of these are so random. I'm proud of myself. I know I got one guess wrong, but if you knew that off rip, congrats, you're a wizard. But that does it for today's recap. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed or learned something new, leave a like, subscribe, send this to one of your friends to get them to follow along with the postseason. And if that's not good enough for you guys, I'm going to Ohtani's debut in a few days. So we're going to vlog that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Have a great day. Catch you tomorrow.